listen to Craig Stammen's post-game comments. Plus, we'll bring you today's play of the game. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
Welcome into our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score today, the Nationals 4 and the Padres 2 as the Nationals win the rubber game of this three-game series. Padres winning on Friday night. Really nice way to start the road trip, but a disappointing couple of days as the Padres lose yesterday 9-4. They lose here today 4-2. As always, our post-game coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey, player, need a little me time? Jamul Spa was just named one of the top 100 spas in America. Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. A lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. Coming up in a little bit, we'll recap this game from start to finish. We have all the radio highlights for you. Let's begin with a couple of initial thoughts here on why the Padres lost this game. And the first reason I think is very, very clear. This was a guy in the mound today in the Nationals, Zach Littell, who came into this game with higher than a 5 ERA, somebody the Padres have seen a ton of over the years, going back to his days as a reliever with the Giants. We read off the numbers for you pregame. You had Bogarts 2 for 5 against him. Castellanos 2 for 4 with a home run. Franz 3 for 12 with a home run. Manny 4 for 12. Sheets 3 for 9. You had Tatis coming off a big time game yesterday. He's been red hot as of late. Finally hit the home run yesterday. And quite simply, the Padres offensively just did not do anything against Littell through the first 6 innings of this game. Yeah, Griffin Canning gave up a couple of home runs today. The home run ball continues to be a pretty big problem for Canning. But you know what? It's not like this was some disaster of an outing today for Griffin Canning. I understand. Gives up the 2 home runs, 5 innings, 3 runs given up. I get that. But the Padres were not going to win this game if they could not get anything going offensively against Littell, and he held them in check for 6 scoreless innings. Padres finally got to him when Blake Butera, the Nationals manager, tried to squeeze a 7th inning out of Littell, and then a walk and a bunt single, and the Padres did take advantage. But look, to me, that's what this game comes down to. And I thought Jesse and Tony did a good job talking about it in the post-game wrap. Offense. I mean, the Padres had that nice day on Friday, the ability to win a back and forth game. They get the big swing from Merrill, but you look at the last couple of days. Yeah, they had the solo home runs in yesterday's game, but offensively only had 6 hits, didn't do enough to win the game. And then today, very similar story. Again, offensively, only 2 runs on 6 hits, not enough to win what felt like a pretty winnable game here today. Again, was Griffin Canning perfect? No. Was the bullpen perfect? No. But sometimes your offense against the team in the Nationals that gives up a lot of runs, you got to find ways to score more. And the Padres did not do that, I think, especially here today. So offensively, an issue today. The Padres unable to hit an opposing starting pitcher that you hope they would be able to handle in Zach Littell. That was issue number 1. Issue number 2 was more the late inning situations. Now, look, I have absolutely no issue in the 7th inning and the 9th inning with the Padres running Song and running Merrill in those spots. They're desperately trying to stay out of the double play in both spots, and I get it. Totally understand it. It happens. Guys overslide the bag and they get tagged out. We see it all the time. Unfortunately, it happened for the Padres in 2 really big spots in 2 separate innings today in the final 3 innings of the game. But look, I don't really know what to make of that. It happened twice, once to Song, once to Merrill. That does happen. We see it all the time. And quite frankly, I have no issue with the Padres putting guys in motion there. You're trying to stay out of the double play desperately in those scenarios. I think the bigger issue was just the timing of them and the fact that you were down runs and they were really, really critical spots with runners on first and third in the 7th and then with France at the plate in the ninth inning representing the tying run. Merrill gets thrown out at second base. Just bad times to overslide second base, I think, is what the issue was there. But I have no problem with the Padres putting guys in motion there. I get it. You want to stay out of the double play. I guess when you do that, you overall run the risk that you're going to have a guy thrown out at second base. I'll kind of take the risk with Song and Merrill, who can run. And unfortunately, they beat both the throws, but they overslid the bag and comes back to bite the Padres in a major way. But again, I look at this game and I even think an element to yesterday, despite the Padres hitting 3 home runs yesterday, this was definitely on the offense today. I mean, again, Zach Littell, a guy who came in with higher than a 5 ERA, a guy who's given up a ton of home runs, and you expected the Padres to be able to get something going against them, and they were unable to get anything going against them until the 7th inning. And when they did, you had the two situations where the Padres overslide the bag, and they were unable to get the third run to tie the game and ultimately lose this game 4-2. When we come back, we'll get into our radio highlights, recap this game from start to finish. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up later. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. Padres in the midst of a little bit of a cold stretch right now. They've lost 6 of 7. And I think what's a little concerning is that the really hard part of this road trip is coming up in Philadelphia for 2 reasons. A, the Phillies just swept them at home, and the Phillies are playing well. And B, you're facing some really, really good pitching in Philadelphia. So losing 2 out of 3, not the way you wanted this to go after the Padres won on Friday. We'll see if the Padres can bounce back in Philly. Final score in the rubber game of this 3-game set, Nationals 4 and the Padres 2. Our post-game coverage continues after this. postgame coverage continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score today, the Padres fall 4-2 to the Washington Nationals. Padres drop 2 of 3 in D.C. this weekend. Day off tomorrow. They'll enjoy that in Philadelphia, and then a 3-game series beginning against the Phillies on Tuesday. We'll talk more about the pitching matchups in that series coming up a little bit later. We'll go back to Nats Park in D.C., hear from Craig Stammen coming up in just a little bit as well. But before we do all of that, let's recap this one from start to finish.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
Our starting pitching matchup today, right-hander Zach Littell on the mound for the Nats, right-hander Griffin Canning on the mound for the Padres. Both guys were really solid early on. Littell tossed 4 scoreless innings to begin the day, giving up just a couple of singles. Meanwhile, Canning had put together 3 scoreless innings, giving up just a couple of singles as well. In the bottom half of the 4th inning, we still had a scoreless game, but it was Luis Garcia Jr. who led off.
And the pitch to Garcia, hit in the air, deep to right center field. Maryland Tatis back, and it is gone. A home run just over the big wall in right center field. So Garcia, who hit into the double play in the first inning, gets back here in the 4th. A solo shot to begin the inning and give the Nationals the first run of the game.
Canning would later give up a bloop double and a walk, but the Nationals stranded 2 on base. Padres still down 1-0 going to the bottom half of the 5th inning. Keibert Ruiz hit a 1-out single. That put a runner on base for James Wood.
On a strike, the pitch, and Wood swings, hits it in the air, deep to right center field, aiming for the big wall, and it's gone. A line drive, home run to right center field, his 16th of the year. 2-run shot for Wood, and just like that, the Nationals lead is 3-0.
Canning went 5 innings. He allowed 3 runs, all of them coming on the pair of homers. Yuki Matsui pitched the scoreless 6th inning. Padres still trailed 3-0. Going to the 7th inning, Nationals manager Blake Butera was staying with his starter Zach Littell. Padres rallied. Xander Bogaerts drew a leadoff walk. Jackson Merrill laid down a bunt single. That put 2 on base with nobody out. Ty France was next.
First pitch coming. Ty laces it into left field. That's a base hit. Lyle over towards the line to get it. Bogaerts will score. Merrill's held at third. And into second with an RBI double goes Ty France. It's 3-1 here in the 7th.
Just like that, the Padres had the tying runs in scoring position. Nationals went to right-hander Orlando Ribalta. Nick Castellanos hit a sac fly to center. That scored Merrill. The deficit was cut to 3-2. France went to third base. Sungmoon Song then walked to put runners on first and third with 1 out. But then Miguel Andujar struck out as Song got thrown out trying to steal second base. He actually beat the throw, got there first, but he overslid the bag. A strike him out, throw him out, double play. The inning was over. Padres still trailed 3-2. Jeremiah Estrada came on for the bottom half of the 7th inning, trying to keep the deficit at a single run. He walked Jose Tena to start the inning. Jorbit Vivas singled with runners on first and second, 1 out. Padres went to lefty Adrian Morejon to face James Wood. Wood grounded into a fielder's choice. So there were runners on first and third, 2 men away. A pinch hitter, right-handed hitting Andres Chaparro dug in.
The 0-1 pitch. Chaparro hard hit on the ground, third base. A fair ball down the line. Machado dove, couldn't get there. Nunez in to score. Wood is at third. He'll be held. An RBI double in the pinch for Andres Chaparro. And it's now 4-2 Washington.
Yeah, big swing there. Nationals led 4-2 after 7 innings. Ribalta stayed in for the 8th inning. He retired the side in order. Jason Adam pitched the scoreless bottom half to keep it a 4-2 game. So the Padres were trailing 4-2 going to the 9th inning. Clayton Beeter came on for the Nats for the save opportunity. Beeter looking for his 2nd save in as many days. Jackson Merrill hit a 1-out single. That brought the tying run to the plate with the Padres down by 2. 1 out, and Ty France dug in.
2-2. Merrill takes off. The pitch to France is a strike. The throw down, not in time, but he overslid and he's out. That'll end the game. A strike him out, throw him out, double play because Merrill overslid at second base. And for the first time since 2018, the Padres have dropped a series at Nationals Park. Padres will not challenge. Carroll clearly off the bag at second base, tagged out by Nasim Nunez. Final score here this afternoon, the Nationals 4 and the Padres 2.
Yeah, replay clearly showing Merrill oversliding the bag. In fact, he never got back to second base, and the Padres had two guys in really critical moments overslide that second base bag on a stolen base attempt, and 2 times in 3 innings the Padres had that happen. Final score, Nationals 4, Padres 2. Padres dropped to 32-26. They've dropped 6 of 7. Washington improves to 31-29. 4 runs on 9 hits, no errors for the Nats today. 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors for the Padres. Losing pitcher, Griffin Canning, who drops to 0-4 on the season. Zach Littell picks up his 5th win. He's now 5-4. Clayton Beeter, his 4th save of the season, his 2nd in as many days in this series. And the Padres, after winning on Friday, really good win where the offense got it going. Well, the Padres fall in the final 2 games of this series. And as we've said, day off tomorrow, they will begin the second half of this 6-game road trip in Philadelphia on Tuesday. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. A little bit later, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. May be able to squeeze in some of your phone calls as well at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Phone number to call if you want to get involved. Final score on this Sunday, the Nationals 4 and the Padres 2 on the Padres Radio Network. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score here today, The Nationals 4 and the Padres 2. Still a lot to do. We'll hear from Craig Stammen in just a moment. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll preview the Padres series against the Phillies coming up this week. And if you want to squeeze a phone call in, you can do that at 833-288-0973. Well, again, the Padres trailed in this game 3-0. Griffin Canning, not a stellar outing, but it's not like it was a horrible outing either. Gave up a home run in the 4th inning, a 2-run shot to James Wood. In the 5th, he gave up 3 runs in 5 innings today. The big problem, as we've alluded to first couple of segments, Padres offensively just could not get anything going against a guy in Zach Littell, who came in with north of a 5 ERA. Padres did finally get to him in the 7th inning, got 2 runs against him, but then couple of unfortunate scenarios. Padres had runners on 1st and 3rd in the 7th with 1 out, down by a run. Miguel Andujar struck out. Sungmoon Song was thrown out at 2nd base trying to steal. He got there initially, but overslid the bag. And then that happened again in the 9th inning with the Padres down by 2. Ty France representing the tying run at the plate, and Jackson Merrill, same thing happened. He beat the throw to 2nd base, but overslid the bag and was ruled out at 2nd base. So the Padres doing basically the same thing, unfortunately, at 2nd base in a span of 3 innings, did it twice. So that was unfortunate here today, and the Padres dropped the rubber game of the series. Padres in the midst of a bit of a tough stretch right now. They lost 6 of 7, coming off that 3-6 homestand. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Nationals to begin this road trip. We'll see if the Padres can get it back on track in Philadelphia this coming week. With all that in mind, let's go back to Nationals Park in D.C. and hear some post-game reaction.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
I know Littell's pitching better. Would you have expected more out of the offense here these last couple of days?
Yeah, we always expect more out of our offense. Pitchers always have the advantage, and sometimes they throw a good game at you. We've got to continue to try to take team at-bats. Work the pitcher a little harder, maybe get guys on base without a hit. And then we've got to come through in big situations. And, lately that hasn't been the case.
There'll be a game or two, or maybe even a game you don't score, but the bats are good. Are you surprised at how it's not kind of taking off?
Yeah, it seems like, we get one guy going and then another guy hits a slump, and, we just haven't collectively been able to put at-bats together 1 through 9. We'll put 3 together, and then the 4th one is just, kind of ends the story really fast. So we've got to figure out a way to take at-bats for the guys behind us, in front of us, team at-bats, as we go. And, as a coaching staff, we got to figure out how to get that into the players' heads, and we got to figure out a way to coach them to be able to take at-bats like that. And find out, what their mindset is when they're taking those at-bats, whether they're thinking that way or not. And even I think a lot of times they are thinking that way. They're trying to hit for each other, and we're just not able to get it done.
You had a couple times where guys ran, and it was Song's decision, his own?
No, that's definitely my decision, yeah. Most of the time that we run, it's my decision. The guys, they have the ability to be on their own also, and Dave Macias over there at first base does a good job. We're working in tandem, together to get some of these guys going. And it's the nature of how we play offense. It's worked for us. It worked for us in game 1 of this series, and it ran us out of an inning, a couple times in this last game.
In the 5th, Griffin has a really low pitch count. He's pitching really well. Wood is kind of lurking there, though, as well. Did you, at that point, have any thoughts about let's start to get someone hot in case, or you just?
Yeah, we had Morion kind of going.
Okay, that's who was getting loose.
He just, yes, he was. And it's just a tough spot, because we can't overuse our bullpen. They're going to strengthen our team, and we need that strength for the entire season. And if you have a starting pitcher on a low pitch count, you've got to kind of trust them. That's what those guys, what their job is on the team. And, unfortunately, 3rd time through, first guy, hits a 2-run homer and, makes you think, all right, we should get the guy out, 3rd time through. But, we're trying to manage those situations, manage a lot of different things in that space. Who's to say you bring in the lefty in, he doesn't do the same thing, all that kind of stuff. But Griff battled his tail off today and, just got beat by the homer a couple times.
Later in the game, you matched up, and then they countered and they're ready.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that could happen at any point. We trust Adrian basically against anybody.
Yeah.
We feel like he's the ace in the hole, and that's probably a big decision in that time too. Is we know we're going to face that part of the line, but the second time before the end of the game's over, and you want your best guy in the highest leverage situation. So we had him out there. We had a couple guys on base. Jeremiah's got to be a little bit better not walking the first guy. It's part of baseball. It's not like I've never done it before. So usually those walks lead to runs, and that's kind of what happened today.
Friday, you said that bullpen usage is kind of a never-ending, never going to figure it out type of thing for a manager.
Yeah,
it's an ongoing. What do I do here and there? Is today kind of a good example of that, especially with I think he was at 58 pitches, and we're talking about should you take this guy out?
Yeah, yesterday, today, the day before,
Tuesday.
Every day but the off day. Feels like you're juggling between overusing them and letting your starters go, and having a team that's able to handle that workload throughout the season and winning the game that day.
Yeah.
Would you guys put in that Fermin to Canning to Manny play? I haven't seen that.
We're hiding it from you in spring training, so you wouldn't write about it. But I'll give credit to Coach Ben Fritz on that one. That was his baby, his idea of bringing it up in spring training, and it almost worked today.
Well, Abrams did a good job.
He did a great job.
You're the guy who has the kind of, no matter what, answer this all day. It's June now, for all intents and purposes.
Tomorrow.
Right. You don't have a game. and we keep talking about the offense is going to come. And history says, right? But at some point, and I'm asking, when is that point? It's got to happen.
Hopefully in June. The good thing about baseball is a very long season. And we've played 2 months. And we've got 4 to go. And we've got 4 months to change the narrative on our hitting group and how we've done so far. And we're working behind the scenes to get that done. And it's not about hope. It's about working towards it and figuring it out. And I know these guys are committed to that. And we're committed to that. And we're going to keep committing to that until the season's over.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen following this 4-2 loss to the Nationals in D.C. today. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios. As always, our post-game coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort, the Players' Place. I want to get to a couple of things there that Craig Stammen talked about. And look, I think that's about as I don't think it was even critical, as direct as you've heard Craig Stammen about the offense and the quality of at-bats, and I'm talking about the first couple of minutes there. Look, it's no secret to Craig, and I think he's spot on. Yeah, look, the quality of at-bats, piece by piece has to be better. The Padres, one way or another, they have got to figure out ways, and they've shown it at times for maybe a game, maybe 2, maybe an inning, maybe 2. They've got to figure out ways to avoid what happened today against Zach Littell, which is a guy that you feel like they should be able to hit, and you look up and it's 6 scoreless innings, and you're down 3-0 in what feels like a fairly winnable rubber game of a series against, look, we'll see what the Nationals ultimately are this season, but a young, at this point, hovering around 500 ball club in the Nationals. There's no way around it. This felt like a series the Padres, you wanted them to win. Right? I mean, they've had good success against the Nationals in the past. They've got a better record than them. The Nationals, they don't pitch particularly well. They do score, which we saw. They don't pitch particularly well. Regardless, back to the offense. Look, you're still waiting for this offense to kick it into a higher gear more consistently. And maybe this series was sort of a microcosm of the offensive issues in this sense. Friday, you loved what the Padres did offensively. 10 hits, driving runners in, some power, big swings, Merrill the late home run. You loved it. You hope that would sort of jumpstart this offense. And then yesterday, a little bit of both. You had the 3 home runs. You had Tatis finally hit a home run. But you did feel like the Padres left a little, meat on the bone as far as offensive opportunities. And then today, this was kind of one of those games that we've seen a lot where the Padres offense has really struggled to generate runs and, more specifically, hit opposing starting pitching. And I thought those answers were probably as direct about the the quality of at-bats that Craig Stammen has been so far. Not critical, but I thought direct there about the quality of at-bats. So that was interesting to hear there. I'll tell you this as well, just because there were a lot of questions there about bullpen usage, and I didn't think anything Craig did today was wrong as far as the bullpen usage. I mean, the bottom line is this. He got Canning out after 5 innings. You weren't going to the bullpen with 1 out in the 5th inning, even with Wood coming up. I thought that would have been way too early. I mean, to Craig's point, if you're going to start in a 1-0 game in the 5th inning, going to Adrian Morahone to face James Wood in the 5th inning, you're essentially treating this like a World Series game. It's not a World Series game. And you do need to be mindful about this bullpen, which is incredibly important to this team, that you don't totally overuse them in the first half of the year. You need this pen. So there is nothing wrong with Griffin Canning facing James Wood in the 5th inning. Now, Wood took him deep. He's a real good young player. Took him deep and can hit the ball a mile. And he hit it hard, and it was a line drive that got out. Okay, it happens. I'm not telling you that Morahone should be coming in the 5th inning there. I mean, your starting pitchers got to go give you 5. So I had no issue with that. And look, one of the issues with this game, and I think of this series, which is a bit of a weird one because they've been so good, is that the bullpen wasn't stellar in this series. You think about what Bradley Rodriguez did yesterday after Michael King came out, and then after the Padres made it a 1-run game, you've got Estrada on the mound in the 7th inning, and he does something you just can't do, and I think Jeremiah would tell you that, and that's walk the leadoff man in the 7th inning, and then a single, and then ultimately the run scoring on the RBI pinch hit double by Chaparro in the 7th. Look, not much the Padres could do there. I mean, Morahone came in to get Wood, got an out, and then instead of leaving in Garcia, they go to the right-handed hitting Chaparro and, threw him a changeup, sped up his swing a little bit, and hit one down the line. That's going to happen to Adrian Morahone. But I go back to the leadoff walk by Estrada. Hey, when you were down 3-0 and you made it a 1-run game, the last thing you want to do in the bottom half of that inning when you're looking for a shutdown inning is go out there and walk the leadoff man. So, that was unfortunate. Couple of blemishes for the Padres bullpen in this series. But again, and you heard it there from Craig, I mean, again, this boils down to the offense. And bigger picture-wise, I think you're still waiting for this offense to kick it into a higher gear. And to Kevin Acey's point there, maybe flip of the calendar means something, maybe it doesn't, whatever. But it is June tomorrow. And, for us to be here in June, still sort of waiting 2 months in for this offense to consistently get going. You've seen flashes, you saw it on Friday, but consistently, day after day, put up the types of run totals that you hope they can. You're still waiting for that a little bit. And to Craig's point, hopefully the last 4 months of the year offensively are better than what the first 2 months have been. Let's step aside. When we come back, we'll get into some of our daily awards. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard later as well. Phone number, if you want to get involved, 833-288-0973. Final score again, Padres fall 4-2 to the Nationals in the final game of this 3-game series. Our post-game coverage continues after this. Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score here today, Nationals 4 and the Padres 2. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up in a little bit. Continue to break down this ball game. Phone number to call if you want to get involved, 833-288-0973. Again, the phone number if you want to get involved on a gorgeous Sunday here in San Diego, 833-288-0973. For those of you watching on YouTube, I do feel like I have to explain this because you're probably wondering, why did Sam look so giddy coming back from break? Padres lost the series. Sam, wipe that smile off your face, for goodness sake. Well, I'll tell you why. During the break, I looked at Kyle, and I don't normally do this, try to guess the intro music coming back. And I don't really remember where it is and whatever the playlist, however it happens in the system. But I turned to Kyle, I said, I think this is going to be a Rick roll coming back. Rick Astley is going to be the pick here. Never going to give you up. And there it was. I was on it. Total guess. So that was the excitement of the day here in the studio as the Padres fall today by a final score of 4-2. Let's tell you about today's relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, brought to you by San Diego criminal defense attorney David P. Shapiro. We help good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. Learn more at davidpshapirolaw.com.
Relief pitcher of the game. We'll keep it on the Padres side of things today because we can. Why not give it to Jason Adam, who did a good job coming in the eighth inning, kept it a 2-run affair. Could also give it to Yuki Matsui, who, by the way, bit of an underrated storyline, continues to be very good for this ball club. A scoreless inning in the sixth inning, lowered his ERA to 0.60. So take your pick. We'll go with Jason Adam today. Lowered his ERA, by the way, to 0.90. Pretty remarkable when you think about it, just how incredible Jason Adam has been in a Padres uniform since coming over at the deadline in 2024. He's once again having a stellar season. Again, a 0.90 ERA as we end the month of May. Let's tell you about the Padres' heart of the order.
Let's take the pulse of the Padres and check in on the heart of the order. Presented by Palomar Health, the official healthcare provider of 97.3 The Fan. Palomar Health, leading with heart for every patient. Palomar Health is reimagining healthcare.
Well, little up and down for the heart of the order today. 3, 4, 5 spots. Machado, Bogarts, and Merrill. Manny went 0 for 4. Xander went 1 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. Jackson Merrill did have a good day. 3 hits today for Jackson with a run scored. So all in all, 4 hits between the 3, 4, 5 spots. And that's a look at the heart of the order here today. Look, if you're trying to pull away silver linings from this series loss, I think the 2 of them would be Fernando. Even though he took an 0 for today and snapped his on-base streak, by the way, he was in the midst of let me pull up my note here. In the midst of a 13-game on-base streak entering today. He had been really, really good. Of course, had the home run yesterday, took an 0 for today. But look, you hope what we saw yesterday is a sign of things to come. You hope what we've seen the last couple of weeks is a sign of things to come. That's a silver lining from this series. And I would also say that seeing Jackson Merrill continue to put it together a little bit, also a sign of, hopefully a silver lining, I should say, for the Padres. 3 hits. And, it is a good reminder. Jackson, a handful of days ago, was batting under 200. The average, and I'm not saying this is great, but I'm just illustrating the point, is up to 209 at the end of today. It's a good reminder of it. It is still early enough if you get hot for a while where you can, turn around a lot of these numbers pretty quickly, not as quickly as if it were like late April, but fairly quickly as we flip the calendar to the month of June. So I would say the 2 silver linings, Tatis, hopefully what you saw this weekend, a sign of things to come, and Merrill, hopefully what you saw this weekend, a sign of things to come as well. Let's step aside. When we come back, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll preview this series coming up against the Philadelphia Phillies. Again, the final score today, Nationals 4 and the Padres 2. Our post-game coverage from our San Diego studios continues after this. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score today, Nationals 4 and the Padres 2. Our post-game coverage, as always, brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey, player with a top 100 spa, an epic rooftop pool, and Lux Hotel Suites. Jamul Casino Resort is the mini vacay you need, the player's place. We'll have our play of the game coming up in a little bit. We will have a full preview of the pitching matchups as the Padres now head on to Philadelphia, what you can expect Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But quickly, let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a number of finals already today. Brewers beat the Astros 2-0 in Houston. Another really nice outing for right-hander Jacob Misiorowski. 7 scoreless innings for Misiorowski. He had a terrific month of May. His ERA on the season now is down to 1.65. So he continues the deal. Brewers beat the Astros 2-0. White Sox beat the Tigers 2-1 in Chicago. Colson Montgomery homered. Tristan Peters, an RBI single late in that game to give the White Sox a lead, and the White Sox win it 2-1. Boy, it has been just a really, really rough year for the Tigers. They're now 22-38. That's a team that almost went to the American League Championship Series last year. 16 games below 500 now. Mets beat up on the Marlins 10-1 in New York. Mets sweeping that 3-game series from Miami. Red Sox beat the Guardians 9-4 in Cleveland. The Reds beat the Braves 6-4 in Cincinnati. Eugenio Suarez, a home run in that game for Cincinnati. Rays beat the Angels 5-2 in Tampa Bay. Pirates beat the Twins 9-3 in Pittsburgh. Orioles beat the Blue Jays 9-5 in Baltimore. We have a handful of games going on right now. Rangers ahead of the Royals 6-3 in Arlington in the 8th inning. Giants lead the Rockies 7-3 in Colorado in the 5th. Yankees ahead of the A's 8-3 in the 3rd in Sacramento. Mariners lead the Diamondbacks 1-0 in Seattle in the 4th inning. Dodgers beating the Phillies 2-0 in LA in the 3rd. In one game yet to begin, the Cubs and the Cardinals in St. Louis at 4:20. Matthew Liberatore on the mound for the Cardinals and Jordan Wicks on the mound tonight for the Cubs. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Sunday. It is a military Sunday, and it's brought to you by our San Diego County Toyota dealers. We make it easy. Final score on this Sunday in D.C., Nationals 4, Padres 2. Let's hear today's play of the game.
One bounce, one hit, one pitch can be the difference between victory and defeat. What was the most important play in today's game? This is today's play of the game. Presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Restoration and Flood. We know how.
The 0-1 pitch. Chaparro hard hit on the ground, third base, a fair ball down the line. Machado Dove couldn't get there. Nunez in to score. Wood is at third. He'll be held. An RBI double in the pinch for Andres Chaparro, and it's now 4-2 Washington.
That was today's play of the game, the Andres Chaparro RBI double in the 7th inning. That really felt like, at the time, a big swing. I agree with that. That was our play of the game. Again, extended the 1-run lead to 2 runs for the Nationals. And, you know, really, again, we talked about it earlier, hurt about that 7th inning. 2 things. Estrada walking the leadoff man right after the Padres had made it a 1-run game, but also you had a pinch hitter in Chaparro who, you know, has not, you know, had a ton of experience and facing Morejon, and he found a way to get him and hit one down the line. And again, right after the Padres had made it a 1-run game, they had Song thrown out at second base, and the inning, just like that, it was back out to a 2-run deficit. So I felt like a big moment in this game, and unfortunately, that was our play of today's game. All right, let's look ahead a little bit to this series coming up against the Philadelphia Phillies. Padres will head to Philadelphia trying to right the ship a little bit. Padres have now lost 6 of 7. And the Padres will face some good starting pitchers in Philadelphia. The pitching probables, let's begin with the Padres. Tuesday, it's Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres against right-hander Aaron Nola on the mound for Philly. On Wednesday, it is right-hander Walker Buehler on the mound for the Padres against left-hander Christopher Sanchez, who is rolling right now. We just saw him at Petco Park, put up 7 scoreless innings. And then Thursday, Lucas Giolito against Zach Wheeler. So good pitching matchups throughout the series in Philadelphia. We'll see if the Padres can get things turned around a little bit as they head to Philly. First pitch on Tuesday in Philadelphia is at 3:40 p.m. Our pregame coverage will begin at 2:40 from inside our San Diego studios. And once again, the pitching matchup in Philadelphia on Tuesday, Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres and Aaron Nola on the mound for the Phillies, with our pregame coverage beginning at 2:40. As always, if you missed any portion of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast, available on the free Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcast. You can also go back on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel and watch any portion of our post-game coverage there as well. Taking a look at the final totals here today for the Nationals. 4 runs, 9 hits, no errors. They left on 6. For the Padres, 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors. They left on 4. Winning pitcher today was Zach Littell, who improves to 5-4. Losing pitcher Griffin Canning, who drops to 0-4. And the save goes to Clayton Beeter, his 4th of the season, his 2nd of this series. Time of game, 2 hours and 37 minutes. And the crowd at Nationals Park today in Washington, D.C., 24,050. Once again, first pitch on Tuesday here on the West Coast from Philadelphia is at 3:40 p.m. Pre-game coverage begins at 2:40. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Kyle Ovenshire, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long from inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score here today, the Washington Nationals 4 and the San Diego Padres 2. We'll talk to you on Tuesday right here on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great rest of your Sunday.